If you haven't watched the first video, please watch that one. This is the second one. I'm going to look at the second method by which we write off receivables. This is aging. We did the percent of sale a moment ago. Now I'm going to do aging really quick. I get a better color here. I think I got red. Yeah, I got red going. So aging receivables. Again, one more time. Here's your chart of accounts. It never changes. Assets up, down. Expenses up, down. 3 in the middle. The opposite. And in this case, remember, we're matching. We're trying to match our expenses and our revenue, knowing that we have a bunch of accounts receivable for that period. The next period, we may not collect them all. So we have to match expenses and revenue. Now, here we go. Here's our chart of accounts for assets, up and down. So the up would be here and the down would be here. So we assume at the beginning of the year of December of the past year, we had the same balance of $30,000, just like the last one. So during the year, we wrote off $26,750, just like the last percent of sale. Now, again, just like the last percent of sale, we have an overall credit. And I did it this way on purpose because I wanted credit. We try to do the best we can to get as close as possible, but we don't like to go over. We go over, we don't have a credit, we have a debit, and they have some examples that gets a little tricky. So I'm going to just keep it as a credit balance. So we have a credit of $32.50. Now, what we did with percent of sale, we took the percent of sale, and that became our adjusted entry. In essence, what we're doing in this one was we're going to back into our adjusting entry. So in our example in the book, it did an aging receivable, and it gave us a bad debt expense of $26,490. That was looking at, percent, for the next 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. And you can take a look at the book how we do that. It's a little different than percent of sale, but that's okay. That's the two methods by which we're using. So now our adjusting entry is our bad debt expense, is our debit. So there's our debit. Now watch what we do with this one here. I have to take my bad debt expense, which is a debit. See, there it is. And subtract my overall credit here. So when I take my $26,490 from the $32.50, just like the last example, similar, we're using the same numbers. In this case, now our bad debt expense is $23,240. That's the $26,490 minus the 32. And that would be my entry, my adjusting entry. So I kind of, in essence, backed into it where I didn't start with it. I backed into it. So on December 31st, so at the end of this year here, I'd take my $23,240. That's my expense. And of course, that's my contra asset against counter of $23,240. Not a very good 4, but that's okay. So that means the following year, there's the $23,240. Now this is going to be starting, this was December 31st of 2019, and this is going to be January 1 of 2020. I'll start with 23. This is getting my new 30,000. I'll take the 23. I'll add back that account. And at that point, I get a $26,490. That would be what I start with, but that's not my adjusting entry. This is the way we do adjusting entry. It's a little bit different, so a little tricky. Now remember, on both videos, if you have a debit balance, that means we wrote off more than we guessed. That means we'll have an overall debit. It gets a little bit more tricky, and then give some examples. I use the examples for the two credit balances, which is generally what you see. So hopefully these two videos will help you with the writing off of receivables.